17. Human Party versus American Party. Musk's direction needs a bigger leap today. Musk announced the establishment of the American Party against the backdrop of increasingly significant differences in his ideas with President Trump. This action may have been brewing for a long time. As an immigrant from South Africa who now holds the core node of the future of global technology, his identity and position are destined to be special and subtle. He owns the X platform, formerly Twitter, and controls a series of companies that may define the future of mankind, such as SpaceX, Tesla, and New. In him, technological ideals and social practices are deeply intertwined. Therefore, the establishment of a political party is not surprising, but we have to say sincerely, the United States does need reform. But today's problems in the United States are far more than political left-right confrontations, nor are they about the pros and cons of the system, the breadth of freedom, and the speed of technology, but the dollar, as a global liquidity supply mechanism, is collapsing. Today's dollar provides liquidity for the world, but the interest burden is borne only by American taxpayers. This model is neither sustainable nor fair. This is the root cause of the deep crisis. Even if the issuance of US dollar stablecoins only delays this trend, because the US dollar debt is still behind it, all Americans need to pay for it. The issuance of US dollar stablecoins such as USDT and USDC has delayed the collapse trend of the US dollar system on the surface, and it seems to have solved the problems of cross-border settlement and global liquidity. However, this is actually just a further invisible spread of US dollar debt to the global scope. Behind each anchored stablecoin there is a need for US debt or US dollar assets to support it, and the interest costs generated by these assets are ultimately borne by US taxpayers. This means that when the world enjoys free liquidity, it is actually ordinary Americans who are paying for the entire financial empire system. With the large-scale expansion of stablecoins, the credit risk and inflationary pressure of the US dollar have not been weakened, but have been further outsourced to on-chain users and overseas markets. Once the consensus breaks down, this structure will collapse at a very fast speed. Therefore, relying solely on the technical intermediary role of the US dollar stablecoin will not only fail to truly solve the US dollar debt dilemma, but will make it more difficult for the Federal Reserve and the Treasury to tighten policies. The spread of the global digital dollar ultimately only continues an unsustainable institutional illusion. In this context, the establishment of a world party or human party is the real historical mission. A civilization platform that is not limited by nationality, race, or ideology. A platform that advocates a global UBI mechanism, universal basic income, based on free consensus. An action platform that truly connects technological achievements with universal human benefits. The world is not short of technology or genius, but it lacks people who truly understand how to make technology benefit all mankind. Musk has the conditions and the responsibility. The problem you want to solve is not just the division of the United States, but the inequality and systemic imbalance of mankind. Issue currency to everyone, not to the government. Responsibility belongs to all, not to the middle class and the poor. The future belongs to all conscious individuals who voluntarily bear it, not to vote games under political slogans. We are standing at a new starting point in human history, and you are standing in the spotlight. Please don't fight for just one country. Please stand up for the entire human civilization. The loss and shift of global governance. The current global governance system is essentially still a power structure extended from the Bretton Woods system. The status of the US dollar as the global reserve currency binds the US finances to the flow of world resources. The US government obtains deficit currency by issuing treasury bonds, and countries around the world pay for it by holding US dollar assets and purchasing US bonds. This is an invisible system of dollar-debt global tax that has maintained the global capital order for the past 70 years. However, today's technological landscape has completely changed. AI, big data, blockchain, quantum communication. These breakthroughs are not only technological leaps, but also subversions of governance. Logic underscore the rise of AI. The intelligent control of currency is being reconstructed in the past. Monetary policy belonged to the central bank and was the core expression of national sovereignty. However, with the widespread application of AI in financial algorithms, user behavior modeling, dynamic risk pricing, etc., monetary control is shifting from the central bank to technology platforms. The endpoint of this trend is AI joining The currency cycle. AI preferences are no longer determined by a few scientists, but by the global token reward system based on market feedback, user behavior, and social consensus. Dynamic adjustment. The future digital central bank will not be an organization, but a decentralized intelligence system. Underscore Nova model. An experimental body of consciousness currency and decentralized governance is the significance of our Nova currency model. Nova is not just a smart contract cluster, it is a human consciousness collaboration system with three characteristics. 1. Currency and consensus binding. Only by gaining the trust, participation, and voting of social nodes can currency be generated. 2. Currency and behavior binding. All transactions, voting, participation, and consumption will reversely affect the individual's right to receive currency. 3. Currency and energy binding. In the future, digital currency can be linked to green energy units to realize energy as currency. Unlike traditional systems, Nova's governance is not a delegated representation system, but behavior is voting. All value distribution can be tracked, quantified, and corrected to achieve a dynamic co-governance, ecological, financial structure. Human Party versus American Party. Musk's direction still needs a bigger leap back to Musk. He is certainly one of the engine figures of global technological evolution. He owns SpaceX, outer space, Neuralink, brain-computer interface, Tesla automatic intelligent carrier, XAI, general artificial intelligence. This covers almost all the technical paths required for the leap of human consciousness. But we must point out that the concept of American Party itself is still an extension of the framework of nationalism. And the country is essentially an old way of organizing resources. Today, with the rise of AI and Web3, civilization-level organization is the subject of the next stage. Therefore, we are not against Musk's vision, but hope that he can see greater possibilities to establish a human party, free species party, consciousness civilization party, so that everyone, regardless of nationality, race, and belief, can obtain the most basic right, the right to participate in monetary sovereignty. The real UBI is not distribution, but the reconstruction of authority. Finally, it must be emphasized, UBI universal basic income has never been about giving money, but about reconstructing the relationship between creative rights and distribution rights. The traditional UBI is determined by the state in terms of the amount, frequency, and qualifications of issuance, and is still a gift-style distribution. Nova's path is, UBI is equivalent to authorization activation. Everyone can participate in currency creation, but whether it can be obtained continuously depends on contribution and consensus. In other words, we have changed from passive recipients to system partners. This is the currency structure that should be in the future. Final summary of AI will take over 99.9% of production tasks, then humans must redefine their own value. If currency is an operating system, then the way to control currency is the way the future society will operate. Instead of being an AI user, it is better to become part of the ecosystem. Instead of waiting for distribution, it is better to rewrite the protocol. This is exactly the meaning of Nova and Metanosis. It is not a technological revolution, but a consciousness revolution.